Hey, now, good people, what is happening? This is the Full Coverage Football Show. My name is Jeremy. Welcome in. This is the BS episode. We call him BS on a lot of things. One thing is Mark Davis right? Brandin Cook's right. We'll find out. We'll find out who's right. That's our one thing. Who's right? All that and more coming up with my tag team partner, Mr. Drew Ward. We are back. Let's roll. Brother Drew, welcome in. We are back. That is Drew at Detroit Dave 7 on the Twitterverse. What's happening, brother?
How you doing, man? I'm nothing. Nothing's happening. Watching a little football. Pistons were not able to get a win tonight, so they are still winless. But that win's coming sooner rather than later. But yeah, so not a whole lot, man.
I don't know what a winless basketball team feels like. The Cavs are on the rise, baby. And I know, I've watched 14 minutes of basketball all season long.
I've watched every game, believe it or not. I have. I've watched every Pistons game, not Cavs game. And so we don't even have Cade. So once we get Cade, maybe things will be better. Who knows?
How long's Cade out for?
It's really day to day at this point.
All right. And this is a Full Coverage Football Show. We started it talking basketball because, listen, there are no rules to this show. Literally, this is probably our most hastily thrown together episode yet because I literally just walked in the door, sat down, loaded up this computer, and I realized as I'm doing the intro there that all you're looking at is my belly. That's all I see. So I had to raise up the computer a little bit during our intro there. But yeah, we got a hell of a game on Thursday Night Football here. We got the 7-0 Arizona Cardinals, who Drew said was going to be good. And I'm like, nah, you're full of shit, man. First time we really had a big disagreement in standings, and I'm the idiot here. So your team's 7-0 right now, and they're up 7-0 on the 6-1 Green Bay Packers.
Can I inherit Arizona? Because my team's 0-7. So can I have them?
Yeah, you're a 500 fan now.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right.
I mean, Rodgers goes into this game. Green Bay and Rodgers go into this game. They don't have MVS. They don't have Devontae Adams. They don't have Allen Lazard. They're basically running with no one. Amari Rodgers looks to be their number one tonight. Randall Cobb's still out there. You expect the Packers to hang in this game, or is this a game that Arizona should just run away with?
No, the Packers are going to hang in. Okay. They got Aaron Rodgers. And they still have Aaron Jones. And I think, as much as I think that Arizona's a really good team, they're not the best, in my opinion, the best team in football.
Okay, stop there. Who's the best team in football?
I would go with the Buffalo Bills being the best team in football, even though they have a loss. It was an early loss, similar to what the Packers kind of are going through too. If you remember week 1, they got their doors blown off and everybody was like, oh my God. Well, and then they've gone on to win 6 in a row rather.
Yep.
Similar to what they're doing out in Buffalo. I think they're a top 5 team for sure. But I do also think that the Aaron Rodgers will be able to get it done with kind of whoever he needs to. And it's been a rough start so far, but I expect the Packers to cover the 6.5 point spread. And I know they're down a touchdown now, but
that spread was what, like 2.5, 3 points, and then when
Devontae Adams. Yeah, exactly. When you look at spreads, you don't see a move like that based off a wide receiver, but we've seen the chemistry between, Rodgers and Devontae Adams over, a multiple years. So I've never seen what we like to reference that. Think of the line and how it moved with the Browns game when Baker was out, right? It was maybe a point and a half, I think at most. And you're talking this line moved 3 to 3.5 points or whatnot based off of Devontae Adams. So it's significant, but I still think when you have a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, they're going to at least be in this football game.
They should be. They still have Aaron Jones, who's a dynamic running back. Looks like they're spreading him out wide more so than really in the backfield. You're seeing a lot of A.J. Dillon behind Aaron Rodgers. You're seeing Aaron Jones in the slot. This is a game they can definitely hang in with. And the Cardinals, you look at that team, they're 7-0, but they're injured. They got a lot of injuries. J.J. Watt now out for the season. Are we just going to start admitting that J.J. Watt is basically almost done with his career here? Like,
No, I'm not going to do it.
Not do
I
that
should.
yet?
No, I should do it, but I'm not
Okay.
going to because I just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
He played pretty well
He
early
did.
on in this year. So, like, that's the reason I don't want to, like, throw it out. I know he's been extremely injury plagued here recently, but I just can't just say he's done because he actually, you could argue he was more done last year in Houston with the way his production, and I know it was a bad team, but it almost kind of seemed like he was on that way. And I think it kind of rejuvenated him getting out to the desert and whatnot with a really talented football team. And then he played well. And so, yeah, the injury sucks. He played the second half with it. I mean, that was the thing. Like, he played the entire second half with the injury, so it's just it's a tough blow for them.
4 different injuries in that shoulder too. I mean, not just like a torn labrum, not like one thing. This is 4 different things going on. He's like, I'm gonna work through it. I mean, the adrenaline's going, the testosterone flowing. You're ready to roll in that second half. I understand that, and yeah, eventually it comes back to get you. While we're talking shoulders, before we get into the BS part of this show, Baker Mayfield. You mentioned Baker earlier, missing last week. Baker Mayfield dealing with a torn labrum in his left shoulder and a fracture in that left shoulder. Should the Browns rest Baker Mayfield, or should they allow him to play if he feels he is able to play this week, especially against?
You and I might disagree here. Yeah, I'm letting him fly all day long. Okay. First of all, this is a huge game for you.
It is.
Your division's shaping out to be the best in all of football. And so if you want any iota of a chance to win this division, especially with what Cincinnati's shown, just beating. I mean, the way Cincinnati came out and beat the brakes off Baltimore last week, extremely impressive. And
was the Chase pick the right pick?
No, well, he can't catch though. So once he learns how to catch it, it could get scary potentially.
He could be really good.
Yeah, he could be really good. But yeah, for me, Baker Mayfield gives you the best chance to win. I know that the shoulder injury. So here's the problem. So everybody can say rest him to heal the shoulder. Well, the shoulder is not going to fully heal. He's got a broken bone in the shoulder. And so yes, giving him time off would be ideal at this point. But he gives you the best chance to win. And whether he has a noodle arm for a left shoulder, it doesn't matter as long as he can sit back there and throw the football. I think a mediocre Baker Mayfield is considerably better than Case Keenum, although Case Keenum did get the win. Baker Mayfield has the ability to stretch the field. I don't think what we've seen, it's really shown to affect his arm strength. Potentially, you could argue his accuracy to me with some things that we've seen. But he seemed to bounce back in the most previous game he played before taking that hit against Arizona. But if he's healthy enough to play, I'm putting Baker Mayfield in all day long. And listen, it's not like you can just rest a guy and come back in the back end of the season. Like the Browns, although they're 4-3, this is a game that they need to have. And I think if Baker Mayfield can go out there and play, you have to put him out there.
This game, basically, loser is the cellar dweller in the AFC North. And not only are you in the cellar, that's a long way looking up because the Bengals, they look like they're going to keep rolling. They got the Jets this week. They're probably going to move to 6-2. Now, this is the NFL. Anything's possible, but I'm not scared of Mike White. I'm not scared of the Jets, even with Zach Wilson, let alone Mike White. And I mean, you never know. Joe Flacco could run the second half, but
I didn't even know who Mike White was. There, I'm like,
Mike
who
White's
is
parents
this guy?
didn't even know he was in the NFL. This was a surprise to them last week when he came on the field. Zach Wilson, though, that knee injury, he could be out a few weeks. Sucks for this number 2 overall pick. However, going back to Baker, the reason I wanted to ask you that question, we're both in Cleveland. And this city, if you listen to the radio at all, this city loves the backup quarterback. You can go all the way back throughout time. The city loves the backup quarterback. Kelly Holcomb, big name around here because he was better than Tim Couch for 2 games. Tim Couch ended up losing his job. It blew everything up in Cleveland. Tim Couch's career was already downhill because the Browns sucked around him, but he got them to the playoffs. Now you come up with Case Keenum. He goes against Denver, a beat-up defense, no linebackers.
Denver's not good.
They're not that good, exactly. And he did well. Now, Case Keenum, don't get me wrong. Can he perform in this offense? Yes, he's been in this offense for a long time, or a form of this offense for at least 6 years of his career. However, you're right. He's not Baker Mayfield. He's not as good. Has Baker been good this year? No, but he still gives you a better chance to win the game.
You there, buddy? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think he's buffering out here. No, you're back now. Welcome back.
Hey,
No, to your point. So listen, Case Keenum is probably the best backup quarterback in the entire National Football League, and that's fine. That's great, right? But for me, Baker Mayfield is considerably better than Case Keenum. Baker Mayfield has the ability to actually push the ball down the field. Mm-hmm. I think the playbooks is somewhat limited to an extent, and I know the Kevin Stefanski, Case Keenum background, but we're talking about apples to oranges as far as talent at the quarterback position. If Baker can play, and Baker's a hard ass, he's going to play if he can play, right? That's just the way it's going to be, and I expect him to play, and it's the right thing. Listen, the hit in Arizona was the worst possible hit for him. Like, it couldn't have been a worse hit, right?
Yeah.
It landed directly where the problem is, and I'm not saying that he can't get hit similar to that, but if he's ready to go, I'm putting 6 in the game.
Now, I don't know how bad that fracture is. If it's a light fracture and it can heal over time and you can give him 2 more weeks off and that fracture is going to heal 90% of the way, then I think you leave him out and you let him sit for a little bit. However, if that fracture is a big enough fracture, it's not going to heal until the end of the season anyway, and he's got a big enough brace, then you let him go out there.
Come on, big ass.
I mean, it's a huge brace. I get that. You got to wear it.
Look like a Thor arm and stuff coming out.
It's like he's got one Quagmire arm and the other is just his normal arm. But for me, if that fracture can heal over a few weeks, then you sit Baker. You have to, because you have to think long-term about this for the Cleveland Browns. But you have to know that you can tread water. You need to win this week. If you don't win this week, things are a lot tougher.
They have to win this week. I don't want to say it's a must-win game because I think it's dumb. But like at home, this is the week they have to win.
Mainly because it's the Steelers during the regular season who have always dominated the Browns during the regular season. Yes, the Browns won that playoff game, but you're still the Steelers' bitch as a football team.
That playoff game was funny too.
Years.
That was a weird playoff game.
And this is the Steelers team on the downside, but the Steelers have come in here with guys like Duck Hodges and won in Cleveland. So it's a big game. We'll see how it goes.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Duck Hodges isn't that good, man. I'm sorry. I just ruined your night.
No, I mean, I just feel like it's unnecessary to take shots at Duck Hodges, but we'll move on.
But that's how good Mike Tomlin is as a head football coach too. And Mike Tomlin probably not going to USC. I don't think he's going there. Now, is that BS? As we get into the BS episode here, is it BS that Mike Tomlin's not interested at all in the USC job?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so you have to think of it from a perspective of a guy that's coached and won a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowl rings, one as a coach, and he's never had a losing season, right? Mm-hmm. When you're getting paid a handsome salary. Now, listen, if somebody opens up the checkbook and says, we'll give you $15 million a year, I think we have maybe a different conversation. But for me, why would a guy in Mike Tomlin's position want to have to go and start recruiting kids and flying to different states and being in living rooms? And like, it just doesn't, he's used to coaching a group of men. It's not a recruiting thing. That's why I think it's hard for any NFL coach to go to college.
Yeah.
As compared to college to the NFL is because I think your time and your, like, in the NFL, all your time is focused on the roster and the game plan. Whereas in college football, there's so many different factors with being in, talking to kids' parents and things like that, being in the living room. And for me, I just don't know if a guy like Mike Tomlin will do that.
No, I don't see Mike Tomlin ever doing that. I think he's absolutely telling the truth. He's not going anywhere. College isn't an easy place to coach anymore. It wasn't. I mean, it's always difficult when you got to recruit. But now you also got the name, image, likeness deal where these kids, they're not just looking to go to your school. They're looking, if I go to your school, how much money can I make doing this or that? It's a different animal.
For sure.
And it is a different kind of competitive environment. Kids know that as a backup at Bama, you can make $1 million. As a 4th-string quarterback at Ohio State, you got a guy as a 4th-string quarterback who's not sniffing the field right now. He's got $1 million name, image, likeness deal. And that's insane to think about, but that is something that goes into all of this now.
Kid needs a haircut. But yeah, no, you're right.
Get off his lawn and get a haircut. All right.
You look like an idiot.
Come from a guy with a whale tail ponytail.
No,
Yeah.
but he's got like a full-blown mullet. The
Yeah.
whale tail ponytail is questionable. We can all say that, but the mullet itself is.
I mean, there's a reason I'm keeping this. I won't say on air why I'm keeping it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it just to annoy somebody. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
get into the BS episode here. Yesterday, Mark Ingram traded back to the Saints. Brandin Cooks, Houston Texans, immediately tweets out, "This is such bullshit." Now, Brandin Cooks tweeting that out when Brandin Cooks is also on the trade block, apparently. You feel like the Texans are lying to their players to a certain extent?
No.
Saying they're trying to win, or what's the deal here?
No, it's just classic tanking. It's not that they're not trying to win. It's just the roster can't win. And first of all, Brandin Cooks, I understand that Mark Ingram may be your boy, but at this point, your team's not any good. Trading Mark Ingram's like it's what happens in this business. Why I don't understand why Brandin Cooks, who's been traded, makes it seem like this is a crazy professional decision. I'm not. To me, it's not the tech. I mean, how good's Mark Ingram been this year anyway? Like, what the hell are we doing?
I don't even know. Like I forgot he played for the Texans.
Yeah, it's like you act like he's Derrick Henry. Like, and so for him to be pissed off, it's like, listen, you know what the Texans are. They're paying you pretty damn handsomely, especially going into next year. But we see this all the time. Guys get pissed when their friends get traded, and I get it. Like the first, it's an emotional thing. That's like kind of your guy on the team, but at the same time. If a team wants to come get Mark Ingram from us and they're going to give us a draft pick and we're a bad team,
Deuces.
like, yeah, I'll see you later, Mark Ingram. I mean,
and if he's really your boy, like he's going back to New Orleans where he can still, like he can revive his career there because his best years were with Sean Payton. This is a good thing for Mark Ingram. Now, enough about that. Brandin Cooks probably going to get dealt maybe this year. There are a lot of stupid trade rumors out there, and that's where Twitter is absolutely terrible. So be careful. Check for the blue check mark, people. Do not fall for Adarn Schefter and the fake trades that you're going to see. Deshaun Watson traded to the Jags for Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. Like, there are some stupid things you're going to see out there. Check for the blue check mark.
Even the blue check marks sometimes are questionable.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, and that's what makes Twitter terrible. Now, moving on to some more BS. Mark Davis brought up some BS. He wants the NFL and Raj to do something about these emails, the 650,000 emails that are hanging out for the WFT, the Washington football team, because he feels that had these emails come out earlier that John Gruden had come out and forced him to resign, they could have taken care of this in the offseason. What's the NFL doing? Is this BS? Are they just holding... I don't even know what to say anymore with this. What is the NFL doing at this point with all these emails, all this information, not releasing anything? What the hell?
Well, first off, Mark Davis, I want to demand that you get a haircut.
What can you even do with that? Like,
I don't know. Go bald. Like, go bald. You look like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber. It's embarrassing.
The guy
you're worth a gajillion.
Like Dumpty.
He's worth a gajillion dollars. Like, go to get that shit. Something, but get a wig. I don't know what you need to do, but that's bad. I mean, that's a bad situation. But no, he's right. And the NFL is it's weird where the NFL's at with this right now because it feels like there's something that they're potentially hiding that they're just going to stand firm and say we're not going to release this. And we've heard multiple reports from what the Dan Snyder Washington football team. I will get it right tonight. Yeah. And so there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. And so when you hear some of the things that you can't hear what you read, but you read some of the things you're reading.
Sometimes you can hear what you read if you read in someone's voice. Like if I read any Pat Mahomes quote, I'm reading into his voice.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But like, so that there's these things that are out there that certainly to me, and I'm pretty certain you seem very significant. And the fact that there's employees that try to show up to the league meetings this week. So clearly there's smoke there. So why can't we see, like, why can't these things be released? And the NFL to say that we think that the Washington football team and Dan Snyder have kind of gotten the discipline that they needed to have, and all these other people are resigning or it just seems like why? Like that if it's such a big deal, just release it. Like, right? You know what I mean? If it wasn't a big deal, they would be like, all right, yeah, fine, we'll release it.
All these emails, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, only John Gruden's come out. And we said it, 2 weeks ago when we were here and John Gruden decided to resign. Those came out. Oh, Roger Goodell might have got his feelings hurt. Uncle Rod, what the hell are you doing anymore? We've been over this every week where I've come on here and said, do something about the Deshaun Watson situation, help out the Texans.
Who's going to play?
I mean, it's probably going to play. And if he doesn't get dealt soon, he's not going to get dealt this year, obviously, because the trade deadline's Tuesday. But to hold that team hostage with that roster spot, knowing what's going on, knowing the player's unhappy, knowing the off-field things, that should have been taken care of. Now this, Mark Davis, when we're agreeing with Mark Davis and his awful haircut, things are pretty messed up. That's a touchdown. At least it looked like it. I couldn't tell. Yes.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think it was too.
But anyway, you see what's going on with the Washington football team. And some things, that came out today that I was reading. Told female employees not to wear flats, only high heels. People told not to look Mr. Snyder in the eye. Told not to use certain doors when Mr. Snyder was there. There's no real HR person. New executives were hired, new policies. Everyone would get hopeful, and then they'd just be fired. Basically, Dan Snyder's running his own private
It sounds
world.
like Dan Snyder thinks he's God.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what it. I also heard somebody say that they went and picked their kids up. Their kids were playing at Dan Snyder's house. I'm assuming that he has kids of similar ages. I'm not going anywhere besides that.
Like Neverland Ranch over there.
Yeah. I don't think this is Michael Jackson's shindig, but then the parents said, "Hey, thanks, Dan." He's like, "Call me Mr. Snyder." It's like, what? Like, who are you? Because what the hell is Dan Snyder? He thinks he's just bigger than anything, right? Bigger than the law, bigger than his person. But to be honest with you, 1% of America could point Dan Snyder out in a public place. So you might have a ton of money, but people don't know who you are. It's the fact that there's so many things. And I don't try to lean too much into accusation. Jesus, I can't even talk.
Accusations.
Thank you. When it comes to, certain things, but at the same time, when there's a lot of them where there's smoke, there's fire. And clearly there is in this case. At least it certainly seems that way. Yeah. All right. Jeremy went in freeze mode again. So Dan Snyder thing, not great. I'm not sure where he was planning on going next with this. You gonna be all right there, man? You coming back? Okay, fair enough. All right, so I'm just gonna pivot. Then we'll talk about something different since my tattoo. This is, by the way, it's a fantastic image if you were able to see it. Where it stopped on his face. So again, tough look for Dan Snyder and whatnot. And the NFL, I just want to pivot to, I guess, to the Deshaun Watson thing, because I think that's the next best thing to talk about at this point. So the Deshaun Watson news, as we've probably heard, it sounds like Carolina at this point is no longer interested in making a trade for Deshaun Watson. Let's be honest. Again, to my point that there was smoke. There's been smoke kind of for months that the Miami Dolphins, who currently have Tua Tagovailoa starting at quarterback, have been interested in trying to trade for Deshaun Watson. And I know that the trade market, if this deal does get done, I will certainly be interested to see what that trade market looks like. But for me, so you think about it. So one thing that Jeremy always is harping on is hey man, Roger Goodell is not done anything as far as the Deshaun Watson situation. And I think an important detail to that is at this point, these are all civil suits. There's no criminal or felony allegations or charges against Deshaun Watson at this point. So it sounds like when he, or if he is traded, he's going to be played, being able to play right away. And whether you agree or disagree with that, I mean, that's your own thing. But so say he does end up getting traded to the Miami Dolphins, which sounds like it's the more than likely scenario, and I think November 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, is the trade
Tuesday.
deadline. Yeah, so if he gets traded, he's going to play, and it's just, for me, I look at it from Tua's perspective. The guy's pretty much had to deal with this chatter all year long about Deshaun Watson trade. But again, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's clearly Miami is involved in this, and they want to obtain Deshaun Watson, or acquire Deshaun Watson rather. And I just am interested to see what the return is on that trade, if or when it gets done.
The reason I don't think that trade gets done is because what's his value honestly right now? I understand as the player, you want that kind of player, but unless you guarantee that he's not going to end up suspended, unless you guarantee that he's not going to end up in jail or not going to end up dealing with frivolous lawsuits or real lawsuits or whatever the lawsuits can be called at some point, until you know what's really going on off the field, do you feel comfortable really trading for that player? Maybe you get 3 games out of him. You're ruining Tua, who you drafted 5th overall. This guy, he's playing fairly well. He's had stupid turnovers, but he's dealing with, I feel like those stupid turnovers are because he's trying to force things. So maybe this
below
drama can
average
stop around
unit
him
offensively. But no, yes, at this point, and I've been against trading for Deshaun Watson, but at this point, it sounds like the league's not going to do anything unless this goes to a criminal case, and it's all civil at this point. Yeah. The league's not going to do anything. And so if that's the case, then hell yeah, I'm trading for Deshaun Watson, because we know he's probably a top 5 quarterback when playing. And the Dolphins are banged up, but the Dolphins went healthy. And I know that we're in week 7 or week 8 at this point, so nobody's kind of healthy. But
yeah,
we also have to take into account the kind of weapons Tua's had at his disposal hasn't been great, right? But like for me, say the trade gets done, the guy that loses is Tua. Mm-hmm. You walk into even probably a worse situation, which I think it's definitely a worse situation. The fact that Deshaun Watson is going to potentially play is shocking to me, but I'll tell you right now, I think in 2 weeks from tonight, he'll be starting his first game in the NFL, and is probably going to be for Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, if he's going anywhere, it seems Miami's the place. Carolina should try to pony up and get what they can, because that team's ready to win now.
I think Carolina is the team that should get it. It's not even close, but it sounds like from what I've read, Carolina said they're out, and I know that can change. But
I mean, part of the reason is they don't have the draft assets that the Dolphins do. Draft assets in Miami are bountiful and plenty. For Carolina, they're not all there. And you see what this team can be when they get good quarterback play and have Christian McCaffrey. That's a good team. They're 3-0 with McCaffrey, 0-4 without him. And Darnold
he hasn't played 4 games. There's no way he's played 4 games.
He's been out. I mean, they're 0-4.
Damn it.
I mean, every time you think he's coming back, it's like, we're going to put him back out on the shelf a little bit.
All right, dude. We don't have to get into that. I know. Okay, I get it. He was going to start, and then he went on IR. And what the hell is that? I'm like, okay, I guess things have changed.
Maybe you should just give up on him, man.
I'm not going to probably do that.
It's time. Maybe it's time. You guys just.
What if I traded him for DeAndre Swift right now? I could probably. That's a deal that somebody would take. But again,
in a second, and I'm big on DeAndre Swift, but in a second.
I mean, DeAndre Swift, I think, is second in fantasy points at the running back position, in a PPR, which behind Cordell Patterson. But no, I'm probably not going to do that. But yeah, it sucks, man. It would be nice to be able to play Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Panthers are the team that should make the trade. Absolutely. I know they don't have the draft capital, but you kind of give up what you have to. They've made very aggressive, bold decisions in some of the signings they made, some of the trades they made. Went out and got Stephon Gilmore. So that they're going to be as aggressive as they can be. But you're right, they might not have the assets because, again, the Dolphins have the draft capital in order to make the deal. But again, it's kind of mystery boxing it to me, and so you can only have so many
mystery box on this show.
Yeah, you can only have so many draft picks. Like, give me Deshaun Watson. I'll give you 3 of them. I don't care. I'm probably not going to get Deshaun Watson.
No, you're not going to get a Deshaun Watson, especially with the quarterback class coming out next year.
Correct. No doubt.
I mean, there's the whole quarterback class coming out is mystery boxes. And hopefully by next week, I'll have kind of an idea of my top 10 for the 2022 draft, which is insane to say. 2022 NFL draft. Like, I feel like 1970 was 30 years ago, and I realized 1992 was 30 years ago, and that makes me feel really goddamn old. But yeah, anyway, Deshaun should go to Carolina. We're going to be on that for sure. That's where the best spot for him. And, I mean, they can win right away, I think, in that division.
Correct.
At least
that's the thing. I think he's a plug and play. Like, he's a plug and play, and, like, you can make the playoffs. But you got to get the shit done now. I know it's a trade deadline, but, like, for Miami, he needs to play, but he's a guy that you could immediately plug in, assuming he's stayed ready, which that's all I can go off of. That he's going to be able to walk right in and be able to start winning games down there in Miami.
I mean, if he is working out, we know that he's probably getting massages as well, and we haven't heard anything come out about that, so that's got to be a good thing, right? Now, if Deshaun Watson does get traded to the Carolina Panthers, we will come back next week. We're going to have to get Nick Wilson back on the show. He's down there in Carolina, covers the Panthers as part of the radio team.
Yeah, I wonder what Nick's thinking about that.
We'll have to check in on him because Nick was hoping for Justin Fields in the draft. We knew that.
He was.
And then they went out and got Sam Darnold, and he was kind of talking himself into it. We'll have to find out more. We'll check in with Nick at some point, especially if that happens. Now, hopefully by then, Spectrum gets her shit together, my internet stops going out, and I stop freezing, and Drew does half the show by himself. I am literally sitting next to my router right now. I don't have the hardwire.
I spazzed out, dude. I did a show last night where the internet dropped for the host.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of run with it. And tonight I was just like, you coming back? And so when people listen to this, it's going to be like an awkward 2 minutes. And I was like, well, let's talk about Deshaun Watson.
That's the worst part. Like when I go to put this on for the pod version, I'm like, it just disappears. And you're like, oh, I guess I got to talk about something else now. We'll just go with this.
That's exactly what happened. I was like, well, I guess we'll talk about Deshaun Watson.
I mean,
so yeah.
But we got a 7-7 game here, and then the Packers are driving. Packers are looking pretty good. It's the Robert Tonyan show right now. So at least we know who you got in this game. You think Packers win it or Carolina?
I do. Yeah, I actually like the Packers money line, and then especially the 6.5. And you know that I think Arizona's good, but Aaron Rodgers, I think he's kind of they're starting to do stuff like winning 6 in a row for them, and they've done it multiple different ways. I think that they're kind of coming together. And listen, I know he's got nobody out there. Arizona should win this football game, but this just feels like a game Aaron Rodgers wins kind of at the end of the game. It's going to be a close one, though.
I feel like this is the game that Aaron Rodgers at the end of during the press conference is just like, see, I can go out there and do whatever I want and win, even if you guys don't give me help, but that shows you how damn good I am and how much you're going to miss me when next year you're starting Jordan Love and I'm winning a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos.
I'm starting to feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to be back.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if you're Green Bay, you have to. I mean, I get the issues between them, but if you're Green Bay, you don't let this guy go. He's just getting better. And you're seeing what Tom Brady's doing at 116 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
there's 0% chance that number 12 is leaving this organization. I mean, if I'm the Packers,
yeah,
listen, he wanted Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb is just an ancient dust player out there right now. Right. So like he's a fossil essentially, but Aaron Rodgers knew he was kind of a locker room guy. And like there's more to just having players like Eric. Like when you have an elite quarterback, you can win with kind of whoever. And this is one of those where I think he just kind of bucks up and says, to your point, yeah, I'll win with whoever.
Yeah,
right.
Give me some players, put a helmet on them. I'm going to go out there and roll. I mean, when you heard what guys were going down, I'm expecting like Jordy Nelson to show up in some random helmet.
Donald Driver.
Yeah, Donald Driver.
Antonio Freeman.
Yeah. Antonio Freeman and his fingers all bent up from Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I mean, Sterling Sharp could go out there, anyone. Trying to think of some other random Packers receivers.
They've had some guys that 4 and 12 have made careers for.
Yeah,
you know, and gotten paid lots of dollars that may not have been, if they were in Detroit, they'd be cut.
or Cleveland for many, many years.
Exactly.
God, we've had some bad football, and we always get stuck. Like, you have to deal with number 12. I had to deal with number 7 forever. It's just
12's
never
more
seems
annoying,
to end.
dude. 12's way more annoying. He's way better.
He is. I will give you that.
He's annoying because, like, and early Ben was like this, but Rodgers is still like this, to where, like, you think you have him, but you don't. Like, now Ben right now is not like that anymore. Rodgers has never stopped being like that. Like, anytime Rodgers gets out of the pocket, I get such anxiety because I know that things are just not going to be good. And I've come to accept that. And so I'll be watching the game with the boys, and I'll be like, he'll get out of the pocket. I'll be, yeah, it's over. Yeah, this is because that's how good he is. And he's never lost that step to where Ben has. Like, Ben, that's not Ben anymore. Ben used to be able to be somebody that, like, could kind of, like, extend a play. Rodgers has always been that, and he's still that right now. And so, yeah,
Ben's also
I know Ben's also good
around him.
Oh yeah, hands down,
100%.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is dead.
Rodgers is good, and I think there will be many cities who throw a party, maybe parades when he retires, or he decides to go host Jeopardy randomly because the guy just does random things. He just does what he wants. But that's Aaron Rodgers. He's that damn good. We got some good games this weekend. And I know we said we were going to talk a BS episode. We did a little bit of that. We started talking Dan Snyder, and all of a sudden my internet starts going out. And we know that Drew has good internet because every time he's on a show with a host or the person who's hosting the show disappears and Drew just takes it over. So
my internet, wow is out here doing things, dude. They're wowing their customers. That's what they're about.
I got a flyer for WoW. I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm getting a flyer. So maybe I'll check in, tap, 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 get on the big old interwebs there, check it out and see if I can get some WoW over here. And like, nah, man, you got to deal with Spectrum. Spectrum runs that place. Like,
Spectrum runs that hood.
Spectrum running the hood.
Yeah, they're you got to, you can't, if you're on this block, you're with Spectrum. Like, there's bullets that have flown for less.
Debo come up and Spectrum Debo.
Yeah.
That's what sucks, man.
Yeah, what kind of internet you got?
You got Spectrum, right?
That's right.
No, you got it now. All right. Anyway, let's get to some games. We got a good college game this weekend that I'm interested in. And a game that is interesting because of the head coach seeming like he's not paying attention to what's going on. Calling Ohio State Stadium, the Ohio Stadium, the shoe, the big house. Is he doing this to troll? Is James Franklin not paying attention to what's going on because he's talking to USC behind the scenes? What's going on with James Franklin in Penn State?
So I saw his press conference.
Yes.
Weird, right? It was just a weird press conference. It was basically like, hey, I love you, but maybe. Like, so it's basically essentially around him potentially going to a different job, potentially that USC job, potentially the LSU job. Who knows, right? And it was just like, hey, I've always been extremely loyal to this school, to this fan base. And I just, you never can say never. I don't want to guarantee everything. He's like, when I guarantee things to you guys, I want to, I always stand up and say. So it's like, for me, that kind of screams like, well, if you were to stand there, you would just been like, yeah, I guarantee I'm staying here. So, yeah, weird situation there with James Franklin. It seems like, listen. Going to USC or LSU potentially. I don't even know if he's been rumored to LSU. That's just me bringing that up. Okay. So going to LSU, it's a better job than Penn State. It's just a better job.
It is.
And so
it's a better job, but it's also harder to win with more expectations, I feel.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely it is. But at the same time, I feel like if you're a coach to James Franklin's caliber, then you would love to accept that challenge, even though it's in hard. You know what I mean? It's a harder conference, and there may be more expectations. So there may be something there. It's tough for me to even speak on that because I just don't know that. All I know is the press conference was weird. It didn't sound like a guy that was committed. even though he kept saying how committed he was. He, at the same time, he was like talking out of both sides of his mouth.
And this is perfect for the BS episode because I don't trust a thing that guy says. I never have. I've always felt like he's always looking for something else, always looking for something better, grass and greener on the other side, maybe, but not always. For James Franklin, I don't understand. Maybe it's just because it's Penn State, and I always root against Penn State. And the whole Jerry Sandusky, blah, 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 all that stuff made it easier to root against them.
Sure did.
But James Franklin, I just don't understand why so many teams are enamored with him. Like, is this a guy, if you're LSU, does it really get you excited if you end up with James Franklin?
I think James Franklin's a guy that can win over a living room. So I think that the recruits he can get are maybe better than they've been getting. I mean, listen, Coach O probably goes in the living room. Nobody knows what the hell he's saying. In the last, hey, we're gonna play football, and they're like, "Oh, all right." Yeah, so I do think James Franklin is a wonderful.
We're pausing because that was a hell of a catch. Who got that? I don't even
know who that guy is.
Aaron
Rodgers doesn't either, by the way.
Aaron Rodgers, is that a catch? No, it's not a catch. Never mind. It's not a catch, but it looked like one hell of a one-handed catch.
It looked cool.
I can't even tell. Number 89 on the Packers.
Jared, but anyway, he reminds me of like
Jones out there. There's another random Packers player.
He reminds me of like he just I don't even want to say what about it, but he speaks very well, is what I'll say, and so I think he can win people over. I think he's a better coach than Ed Orgeron.
Yeah,
I do. And I am.
That was Mercedes Lewis, by the way. I mean, Coach O's our guy.
I love Coach O. I have nothing against Coach O at all. I'll hammer Coach O.
Recruiter. But you see what happens when you're not recruiting a quarterback that can do things. Yeah, he's got Brad Johnson's kid down there. But you saw what happened when he had Joey Burrow, when he had Jamar Chase. Now, those kids aren't as good. Now, LSU will always have talent. But when you're not coaching the X and O's as well, when you don't have a Joe Brady coaching up that offense, you struggle. I mean, Coach O, everywhere he's been, he's recruited well. That's what he's known for. But he hasn't done the X's and O's. So good luck to Coach O. And Coach O is just going to live out the dream of whatever Coach O wants to do.
Out there tanning out there in Ray Baker. Son.
Coach O, legend. One of our favorites. Up there with Mike Leach almost. But James Franklin can't recruit as well as Urban Meyer. He can't recruit as good as Ryan Day. He struggled to out-recruit. I mean, Jim Harbaugh. He's lost recruits to Luke Fickell. He's got to go up against Saban.
It's also the spacey. Like, you also have to take into account the school he's at. Like,
it is.
Tradition of a school matters a lot to these recruits. So, like, it's hard for me to say, okay, yeah, he's not recruited as well as the other school. Well, these schools get recruits just based off of who they are. And I'm not saying Penn State's some scrub school, but I think that it's tough to compete with Michigans and Ohio States and things like that.
I mean, recruiting against Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, going to be hard, but you also have LSU, the namesake, BBU. You're looking at a different kind of thing. And he has been pretty solid at Penn State. Now, they are losers of 2 straight, I believe, and 18 and a half point underdogs right
now.
Lost to Illinois. I mean, yeah, you lost to Illinois 9 overtimes. By the way,
terrible overtime. Overtime's terrible.
Why?
What was that all about?
To the 2-point conversions.
It's just a terrible
watch.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's talking about BS. That's a BS call by you, NCAA, which you are known for, by the way. I don't want to get NCAA 22 now and have to go into 9 overtimes where I got to run horrible 2-point conversion plays.
I'm with you.
I mean, but this is what happens when you're a coach with a big name. You get these opportunities. Your name's always going to be run up. Another guy that could come up is Matt Rule. If Franklin leaves Penn State, maybe Matt Rule struggles at the end of this season. Maybe Carolina doesn't win. Maybe he's a name that gets brought up. Now, for the Ohio State Buckeyes going into this game, they should win. They should win easy. They've turned around what was a terrible defense at the beginning of the season. And now you got Penn State coming in for a Scarlet Out night game at the Shoe. Should be something interesting to watch, just the aura of the game. Ohio Stadium at night, you don't have many night games there, and when you do, it's a big deal. And now you're going to try the Scarlet out because of what Penn State does with the whiteout. Penn State coming in. Had Penn State won last week and they were 5 or 6-1 going into this game, would have made everything way bigger. Now the Buckeyes should roll this game. Shouldn't be close. Should be interesting, though. I got the Buckeyes winning easy in this one. I don't think it's even – I wouldn't be surprised if this game's over by halftime. The Buckeyes should be able to roll easy. What say you, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Buckeyes have kind of hit their stride offensively, certainly. What C.J. Stroud's done, and I know, listen, and I talk about this all the time, which is why it's difficult to judge teams early on in the season because we're talking about really, really young kids. Now, the Buckeyes, I think, could potentially be a playoff team, but their defense is not going to allow them to win anything significant. It's kind of, we saw it against Oregon. It's gotten better. Kerry Combs
it has gotten better,
but I still think they're super man heavy. They get beat across the middle. Anytime that we're running crossing routes and man, they're just in the pressure doesn't get there. They got picked apart. It was exactly what happened to Oregon. But I think this year for me, or this week rather for me, I think Ohio State should win easily. And they're kind of humming offensively at the right time. And again, with those weapons and the way the running backs have showed up, which is what was kind of, I think, really making it tough the first few weeks. They weren't able to run the ball with any, success. I don't want to say any success, but with any, sustainable, success. But I definitely like Ohio State big this week.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud has come in to the point where he's almost a Heisman candidate. And some of the throws that kid has been making of late, NFL-style throws. He threw one over the middle last week. I think I retweeted it. Check out Somerville CLE.
Almost ill-advised.
Just, it looked ill-advised, but he dropped it in the bucket, baby. It was beautiful.
Right in the bucket.
I mean, the one thing with the Buckeyes right now, should they be ranked ahead of Oregon? They're number 5. Oregon's number 7.
No.
Should the Ducks be ranked higher?
Yes. It just so otherwise, what are we doing? So, but I think what'll be telling is so. Like for example, let me give you this: Cincinnati's the second-ranked team in the nation right now, right? Next week, which I believe it is when the first college football playoff committee gathers there in
Tuesday.
The beautiful city of Grapevine, Texas. Had some nice cocktails there, right there by the DFW airport. But I think that you'll see that Cincinnati comes in at like 4 or 5, because I think that that's kind of where they are as far as the team's concerned. And I also think at this point the committee has to rank Oregon over Ohio State, both with 1 losses. Oregon beating Ohio State, though. It's just, it has to be that way to an extent. Now, can Ohio State in Oregon win out and Ohio State improve the way the committee looks at them? Certainly they can, because Ohio State's going to play more, solid teams.
Yeah.
Especially with the Michigan game coming up and potentially the Big Ten championship. So, but I think there's no way that when the actual committee gets together that Oregon's ranked behind Ohio State.
The best thing for the Buckeyes right now is for Michigan to keep rolling. And that game at noon, November 27th, 2 days after Thanksgiving, for that to be 2 teams.
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised the game at noon on December 30th is October 30th, rather, against Michigan State. They survive. I mean, I'm not 100% certain on that. So.
No. But the best thing for the Buckeyes is for Michigan to keep winning and Michigan to go in undefeated and for the Buckeyes to beat them. That's the best thing for Ohio State. And the best thing for Michigan, keep rolling, go in there undefeated, and you finally beat the Buckeyes.
I'm still rooting for Michigan to lose.
Well, obviously. I mean, we always are. But that is the best thing for Ohio State right now. And that's what Oregon should be rooting for, too. Because if Oregon goes in, they see that the Buckeyes are facing an undefeated team, and that team finally beats them, then Oregon can maybe slide up. Now, as far as number 2 ranking, we got Cincinnati there. It was Iowa a couple weeks ago. Iowa was probably the worst number 2 team I've ever seen in my life. There's no reason they should have been ranked above Alabama, and there's no reason Cincinnati should be ranked above Alabama. I get it, you haven't lost, but Bama would roll any of these teams. Bama and Georgia are still the best 2 teams in college football. It's not close. For me, it's Georgia, then Bama. But let's move on. Let's pick some games. We both picked the Bucs in that game. I don't have our numbers from a couple weeks ago,
I
so
won everyone, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure you did because you were on a roll. We'll get those back up next week. Like I said, this is a hastily thrown together, kind of put together show.
The best kind.
It's the best because God only knows what we're going to
So
talk about.
real quick, Green Bay, 17 minutes of offense. Arizona just right at 7. That's what you do when your 3 best receivers are out.
Mm-hmm.
That's Matt LaFleur. Tip the cap to the way that he's called this game.
Well, Matt LaFleur's record is what? He's 32-7 right now in 3.5 seasons or 2.5 seasons there in Green Bay. The guy's been a hell of a football coach. I mean, yes, you have number 12, but you're still winning pretty damn good. 13-3 2 years, 6-1 now. Now, the surprising thing is this Joe Barry defense. What they're doing on defense, they're throwing Kyler off. They're not letting Kyler escape from the pocket. They're not touching Kyler because we all know if you touch Kyler, it's an instant roughing the passer.
It's okay, buddy. Just relax.
Listen, fine. I got PTSD from that damn game. Every time I see someone touch him or get anywhere near him. Anyway.
Oh, let's pick some games.
Before we get to that.
Don't work yourself in a shoot.
Let's get into that. It's going to happen. Let's pick some games. You took Green Bay in this one. We're not going to put it on. Okay, let's get into Sundays. We got Halloween games. The trick-or-treat games. Are we going to have anything crazy happen? Probably not. Panthers, Falcons.
Panthers.
I'll take the Falcons.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts has been going off, by the way.
He has been. Titans, Colts.
Titans. Offense has really been humming lately.
They have been. That Derrick Henry guy, he might be pretty good. Threw a touchdown pass last week. Dolphins, Bills. I think that one's simple. I would love to see Tua just go off, throw 500 yards, win that game.
I think he may have a successful game in the air. I just don't think they can't keep up with what the Bills can do offensively.
No. The number 1 seed in the AFC currently, I believe, the Cincinnati Bengals travel to New York to Meadowlands, face the Jets.
Yeah. Give me Cincy. Yeah.
This game, Steelers-Browns. Who you got?
Browns.
Whether Baker plays, does that matter to your pick?
Yes.
Okay. Eagles-Lions.
Lions.
I am also taking the Lions, which means Lions are going to get destroyed.
Yep.
Rams-Texans.
Just a tale as good as old as time. I'll take Stafford, who's just falling out.
This time.
Lions losing. I hate this game. Give me the 49ers. I think the Bears are doing Justin Fields no favors.
No. Justin Fields is way better than what he's been giving. And the only positive thing to happen to Matt Nagy all season was that he tested positive for COVID.
That's true. I forgot about that.
That's an awful joke. Hopefully the guy's healthy, but fuck Matt Nagy. Anyway, we're talking about another coach real quick. Kyle Shanahan. A lot of talk there. Should his job be on the line because they haven't been very good lately?
I don't know if it should be on the line. I don't know if it should be on the line, but you do have to take into account outside of the Super Bowl year, the record's been ass, right? It's just the way it is. So I don't think it's on the line. I think he has too good of a relationship with John Lynch that he'll have next year, but next year is going to be the determining year of what happens with him moving forward.
Does Jimmy G get traded before the trade deadline?
It's tough because maybe, but I don't even know. I honestly don't think he gets traded because Trey Lance has been dinged up early on, and I think they're getting healthy at running back with Hasty coming back. Jeff Wilson's supposed to be coming off the pup list here in the next couple of weeks. Jeff Wilson wins Super Bowls. Yeah, so I don't expect him to get traded. But if he did get traded, it's tough because, like, where would he go? Like, because he's in my opinion a pivot quarterback. He's not a guy they're going to trade for to be a future piece. So it's going to have to be a team that thinks that they can win now and they don't trust their backup. And so that eliminates a lot of teams to me.
Now, the reason I asked that is because there was an ESPN article that flashed upon my Twitterverse that said the Browns should trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And once again,
what sense would that make?
I don't know.
You're the best backup in the league.
They were trading OBJ for Jimmy
OBJ
Garoppolo.
for Jimmy Garoppolo. ESPN should be burned. Yeah. Burn it down.
If they didn't throw that into the Hulu bundle, I would not have ESPN Plus, and that article never would have been seen. Patriots, Chargers.
Chargers bounce back in a big way.
I agree with that.
Off the bye, at home, I think the Chargers bounce back in a big way this week.
But credit to the Patriots, who looks like Mac Jones right now is the best of the rookie quarterbacks, which we said he would be because
great fit,
great situation, great fit.
Yep.
And they look like they're pretty good. Jags, Seahawks. Jags win this game?
Yes.
Ooh.
Geno Smith is terrible. He's not good. Okay. I will take the Jags. Irby. Is this 2 in a row for Herbs?
It would be.
This will be 2 in a row.
Yeah. That's a winning streak, boys.
Yeah. Yep. So listen, give me Herbs.
This is tough because I want to take the Jags, but I'm going to lean the Seahawks, and just barely. But this could be like a 3-2 game. Buccaneers, Saints.
Bucks. Although I want to say Jameis.
Jameis looked awful too. That was basically, hey, we've got Alvin Kamara, and we're just going to make sure he gets the ball constantly, and he's going to be a one-man show on Monday Night Football.
But the problem is, though, Jeremy, that should have been the plan from the get.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
What happened was week 1, Jameis threw like 5 touchdowns, and he was awesome.
Yards.
And then they just decided like they were going to start throwing the ball, which that's just not what. And Jameis he's had his struggles. The one thing you'll say is he's cut down on the turnovers significantly. But again, I'm going to go with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, 600 ball. Did that guy get enough for giving back that ball?
Yeah, he did. I mean, so here's the deal.
500,000, but
who's gonna give you a transaction of $500K, right? Like the guy got, he made out just fine. I heard he's playing golf with Tom Brady. Like everything's fine with him. Season tickets. He's got a cryptocurrency which is worth 63,000 from Tom Brady. He's fine. Like, let's not act like. Or was just left the stadium, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, first of all, if you're the fan of the team, like, I don't know. You're not going to – I don't think it was going to be like everybody said it's worth this value. But, like, is it? I don't know. I think you did fine.
Plus, you're taking it to an auction house. You got to get out of the stadium with it. Like, I would feel fine handing that ball to the equipment manager because I don't want to walk up them steps with that ball. I don't trust people.
Yeah,
and you're going to an auction house.
You'd fumble, and then some other guy would take possession.
Exactly. You go to this auction house. Maybe you get $300,000 for it. They're taking a piece of it. There's going to be people taking a piece of it. Who knows what you really get? But I think the guy made out pretty well. Washington football team at the Broncos. Who you got?
The football team.
The WFTs. I'm going to take Teddy B and the Broncos in this one.
Teddy B stinks.
He does.
I know he's banged up, but God, he was terrible last week.
Sunday Night Football, Cowboys versus Vikings.
Dallas. Even though I know Dak stinged up. I think Dallas, man. I don't want to say that I think they're really good, but man, do they have the potential and the pieces to be extremely dangerous moving forward. And I think to me, they're clearly the best team in the division.
100% on that. And now our Monday night matchup, Danny Dimes against Patrick Mahomes. Giants at Chiefs. What's going on with the Chiefs? They get back on a roll here?
Yeah. I mean, they get a win this week. Their problems run deeper than just playing the Giants. I mean, they continue to try to make the huge giant play. Mm-hmm. And it's been so easy for them for so long. The offensive line isn't good. They need to just get back to maybe taking what's in front of them and Patrick Mahomes for sure. And then things will start to get back on track. To an extent of the defense is still trash. I've said it for years. They're trash. They've gotten away with the trash.
Yep.
But I think this year kind of shows it more than ever. And it's kind of been a Band-Aid on the defense recently. And so for me, I like the Chiefs just because the Giants suck, but yeah, there's more problems there. They're going to have an uphill battle to get to where they expect themselves to be for sure.
Do the Chiefs make the playoffs?
Yes,
I think so as well. Uphill climb, but I think they make the playoffs in the end. I'm also going to take the Chiefs. Let's move on. Let's get into Ward's wagers. Who you got this week in Ward's wagers?
Pull up my screenshot here. So first things first, I'm going to take Cleveland minus the 3.5. I think they win by 7 to 10 points. I think for the most part, Pittsburgh's somewhat fraudulent. I do worry about Najee Harris a little bit against that front, but getting Nick Chubb back, if Baker plays,
especially if Jadeveon Clowney doesn't play.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'll also go with Tennessee actually getting 2.5 on the road in Indianapolis. And like I said, that offense has kind of been humming a little bit and putting up good numbers. So when they are able to run the ball well, they're also able to pass it well. We've talked about that numerous times. And I will also take the Detroit Lions getting 3.5 at home. Last time it didn't turn out well for me. But I will take the Lions. And then my last pick is going to be Dallas on the road plus 2.5. I will take Dallas.
Those are your Ward's wagers for this week. Remember to check out the show every week. Get that. Go on your DraftKings app. Go wherever you're going. Hammer it. He's got it. Carrying the hammer with him.
It was the kid's toy. It was on the couch next to me. So we might as well just hammer some shit. Let's go.
Now, before we get out of here tonight, it is Halloween this Sunday.
Yeah.
Football Sunday. You dressing up this year?
I haven't dressed up in 10 years.
10 years?
Plus. Are you dressing up?
I am dressing up this year because the kids asked me to. I'm going to watch this Hail Mary get, I believe, intercepted, unless Randall Cobb came down with it. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to dress up as Fat Thor. I will be dressed up Saturday, walking around a Porsche dealership out on your end of the woods there.
A Porsche dealership?
Yeah. My sister's like, hey, there's a Porsche dealership. I'm like, I'll go there.
They got to have good candy.
Yeah, they got to have good candy. So, I mean, I'm excited about that. I will be dressed up for that.
That sounds great, man.
So, yeah. People, thank you for watching tonight. And Drew, thank you for hosting most of the show as Spectrum screwed me out of being a part of the show for a little bit there. Next week when we return, hopefully we'll have a more put together show. We'll have a little more space and time in my schedule starting next week. So hopefully we can get back to normal. Appreciate everyone for watching. Appreciate everyone for listening. Remember, we're available everywhere you listen to your podcast. And if you want to just check us out, you're hanging out at home, look at Alexa and be like, Alexa, yo, play the Full Coverage Football Show, and she shall do it for you. And you can hear our lovely dulcet voices anytime you want. Until then, remember, as always, if you live the life you love, you'll love the life you live. Good night, kids.